Newcomer, page 44. Very good, Terry. I will be back tomorrow. Not knowing what tomorrow meant, Terry knit his eyebrows. Bertha pointed to his window. I will be back after the dark goes away. Standing before Bertha, Terry turned and watched the picture puffs while the matrix explained. The dark goes away from your window, and the toilet matrix comes. After the toilet matrix leaves, I will come. Terry liked the way this sounded. He always felt very sad after matrices left him alone. He turned and smiled. Bertha left and came back the next day, just like she said she would. She came back to him every day for 5 days, not knowing that secretly, for a long time after that first day, Terry called this matrix my block matrix. Terry saw the clinic in the distance as the memory of old came back again. My block's matrix came at the normal time. Terry had learned the letter Y yesterday and was eager for more, but when she sat down, she didn't look right. Her hair looked like the picture puffs looked before the scare strings came, and her eyes looked like Terry's had felt like when he had the nose sickness. I'm sorry, Terry, she was able to say, but there will be no lessons today. Bertha, like so many women her age, suffered from a depression. It took all her strength just to get out of bed that morning. She hadn't taken the time to comb her hair, as she knew that she'd be late getting to Terry if she did. So she stuck the brush into her pocket and brought it with her instead of searching for the Z blocks. While she explained to Terry that she didn't feel well, she pulled the brush out and tried to fix her hair. Terry held out his hand. She stopped what she was doing and looked at him. He motioned towards the brush, which she handed to him, thinking that he wanted to study it. Taking it from her, he rose and walked behind her. Bertha sat patiently, not turned to see what he was up to, when she felt Terry place the brush onto the top of her hair and slowly pull it down through her long gray strands. Although she was surprised by his actions, she allowed him to continue. It had been many years since anyone had touched her, and his gentle stroking calmed her sad soul. She sat with closed eyes while the charge massaged her soul. When their time was near over, he handed the brush back to her Bertha. Here's your brush, old, he said. The matrix knit her brows at the name. Old, she asked. Terry smiled meekly, then looked down at the floor. Bertha leaned in towards him. Is that your name for me? Without looking up, Terry nodded. Yes, he said quietly. I used to call you Block Matrix, then started calling you old, because you always say, I'm so old, I'm so old. Reaching out to the boy, Bertha placed her soft, pale hand under his chin and gently raised his face to hers. Looking into his innocent eyes, she said, That's a nice name, Terry, knowing that it was. When the fetching matrix and Terry reached the clinic, he knew that he would never see old again. Hindsight always points to the stopped clock of a final goodbye. Some of us know then, yet we deny it for some reason or the other. There was no refusing the message between the lines and the caution of old's eyes. Darlene waited in the door opening for Terry to pass through. As he did, she noticed the tears which trailed down his cheek. September 27, 1987. Well, on March 20th, 1984, I woke up with extreme pain and inflammation in my groin. Frankly, I'd spend the weekend with Pam and figured that I'd overworked myself. Pam was harder than Karen and Holly put together, and I'd been with them during the week. Yeah, I was a slut, a real male chauvinist. Anyway, I vowed to chill and got up for work. After showering, went in for some breakfast. Considering who I was, eggs or cereal was never on the menu. A can of tuna and a beer were the usual fare. Within an hour after scarfing down that chicken of the sea, I was in the emergency room. The doctors didn't have a clue. They sent me home with some painkillers and antibiotics and advised me to call my physician. I got on the phone and called my boss to tell him what was up. Good old Harry told me to take as much time as I needed. Harry, what a guy. I wonder where he is now. Probably dead. Dr. Diana's office was impeccably clean. Nowhere was there a spot or a stain. Everywhere was that hospital smell, as if Matrix Diana was sent behind each ear. Sitting behind her desk, fingers forming that tip-to-thumb mouth triangle of thought, she mentally prepared herself for Terry's arrival. The intense jealousy for the new charge of her ex-loverly niece was already sprouting within her. Taking a sip from her coffee, she placed the charge's face where it should be, on the body of a feeble-minded male scheduled for his physical before the initial appointment. The coffee and her next thought left a bitter stain on her tongue. The niece's stubborn insistence on meeting the charge before his sperm sample would be obtained. She set her cup down harder than she intended to, and while absorbing the spill and disinfecting the area, she wondered why the niece couldn't be as professional as all the other queens in her care. Why did she always demand compliance with her own procedures? Surely her niece was going against the way. Hadn't she been accused of insubordination before? Diana put the cleaning supplies away and sat down before her computer. There was no denying that Lenice's charges brought in the highest biddings of the wagers, but Diana believed that this was purely genetics, had nothing to do with the Queen's personal policies. It was 10 o'clock as the intercom beeped, announcing Terry's arrival. The charge entered, eyes lowered, hands tugging at his loincloth. Diana knew the sign. The charge was ripe. Being a professional, the bulge in his new clothing didn't affect her, though she did silently curse the niece again for not being able to obtain that sample now while the charge was ready. Dismissing her thoughts with a shake of her head, she spoke. Terry, get up on the table. Terry shuffled over the table and backed up onto the paper while Diana switched on the stethoscope. Placing the cold metal on his bare chest made his body tense. Diana's putting her warm hand on his shoulder made the auditory unit reverberate. When the doctor was finished with her routine, Terry anxiously awaited her final orders. Knowing what should come next, he was confused when it didn't come, and was replaced by instructions for him to follow the doctor into a room he'd never seen before. Terry, take a seat on one of those cushions, Diana ordered, pointing to the huge pillows in the middle of the otherwise empty room. With a crinkled expression, he did he was told, quizzing the doctor with his knit eyebrows. Another matrix will see you now, the doctor explained. You will not know her voice or her face. You will address her by my matrix. Do you understand? From the cushion, Terry said, no. The doctor's explanation had not answered what he wanted to know. The doctor acted as if she hadn't heard the charge. Tell me that you understand by saying the name my matrix. Not knowing why he should say these words, not knowing why he didn't question her further, not knowing why he didn't exercise his new power on the doctor, he said, my matrix. Diana exhaled her relief. Good, Terry. Now I'm going to leave you. Remain seated. The doctor turned and left the room. Terry remained seated, wondering where he was, why he was there, and who my matrix could possibly be. The cushion felt singular beneath him, somewhat like the safe room floor, but much smaller. He didn't stand and pick the cushion up to examine it. He wanted to stand and pick the cushion up to examine it, but didn't. He was leery of doing anything other than what he was told. As he sat there looking around, he saw a mirror on the furthest wall from him, and he lost his fear, for he thought that the mirror was a picture window. Forgetting all about the Cushing, my matrix, and what the doctor told him to do, he got up and went over to investigate this window. A window like the one he'd been spent all morning trying to touch. Well, this one wasn't very high at all, and he knew that he could touch it without any problem. Halfway across the room, he stopped. Coming towards him from the picture window was a person, and when Terry stopped, the person behind the picture window stopped too. Nervously, Terry stared into the face. The face stared into Terry nervously.